Alright, thanks for joining into my channel, The Eclectic Life. Today we're going to be giving you a quick tour of my small block Chevy I'm building. It's a 383 stroker. Just going to give you some details, a few details on the engine, like the components, things of that nature. And I guess this will be the first update of the engine. So I guess we'll start with the oil pan. I got a Moroso 7.5 inch deep oil pan. Also, I've got the premium Moroso gasket on the oil pan. Really nice gasket, by the way. I highly recommend it. Along with the Moroso high volume standard pressure oil pump on the inside. Obviously we can't see that. And there's my rear main seal. Now this is a small block Chevy Gen 1, but it's kind of an updated it's just an updated block. It's got the one-piece rear main seal instead of the two-piece rear main seal, and in my opinion that's a lot better. I mean, you can see the block is brand new. I got it from Summit. We actually had some problems with the block when I got it from Summit. My engine machine guy had to correct, and it could have led to some catastrophic failures. I'll go over that at the end of the video. So let's go over the block. So the internals of the block, the rotating assembly, all are Lunati. Matter of fact, there is the box still. I haven't thrown it away. So we've got Lunati crankshaft and Lunati rods. So Lunati does not make their own pistons, so they use different manufacturers. I went with SRP pistons. We decided to go with dome top piston. I believe it's 16 cc dome top piston, just to kind of keep the compression at a reasonable number. That way basically the engine's going to run forever, and also if I ever wanted to do boost later on, I wouldn't have any issues with it. So if our calculations are correct, the compression is going to be roughly 9.6, 9.7 to 1, so not terribly. So like I said, all Lunati rotating assembly, and went with cleave it bearings, the H series bearings, which is just like the performance, I guess. And now on to the cylinder heads. So I went with, as you can see, Brodix. It's not their top of the line Brodix heads, but nonetheless they are aluminum. And these are the Iron Killer 180 cc cylinder heads, 23 degree. So yeah, they should flow very nice. I'll show you guys the headers that are going to be connected to the heads right there. They're over here in a box behind me. So onto the valve train. So went with all Lunati valve train as well. You've got Lunati roller rockers right there. They look pretty sweet. I like those. 1.5 rocker ratio. And then we've got the hydraulic lifters. By the way, this engine is a full roller engine. So we've got a roller cam in there as well, and we'll get to that in a minute. So we've got the hydraulic lifters, hydraulic roller lifters, and then we got the Lunati. I believe these are the Sportsman push rods. And these heads already came assembled to accept up to a 555 lift. And I want to say the camshaft is, if I remember correctly, the camshaft is even across the board with the lift, the same on the exhaust as it is on the intake. And that's going to be 492 or 494. It's right there in the 490s. I can't remember exactly. It was a few months ago that I put all this together, and I don't have the paperwork right in front of me. So let's just say 494 valve lift. That's gross lift, obviously. And so on to the camshaft. It is Lunati as well. It's it's got the 494 gross lift. So yeah, the camshafts got the 494 gross lift. I don't remember right off the top of my hand what the lift at 50 thousandths is. And the LSA is 112. I think I degreed the cam in at 106, if I remember correctly. So it should sound pretty good. You'll definitely know it's not a stock cam when you fire it up. And the duration is even across the board as well. It's 218 on the intake and the exhaust. So the timing cover that I went with was the Chloe's, however you want to pronounce it. Two-piece aluminum. It's got the adjustable button right here, which I have that adjusted to allow for play in the camshaft. And I tried to match the play in the camshaft the same as the play that's in the crankshaft, which is roughly about 6 thousandths or so. So should be a premium matchup with those two. As you can see, I've got the seal on there. It's got plenty of lubricant on it whenever I put the harmonic balancer on there. And I'll put some pictures of I did have the harmonic balancer on there, but I had to do some other work, so I took it off. And so the machine work that I had done was we had it bored out to 20 thousandths over instead of 30 thousandths. So technically it's not a 383 if you want to be technical about it, but we're just going to call it a 383. I mean, you're kind of splitting hairs, I guess, really at that point. And a couple of issues that we had whenever I took it to the machine shop was, if you notice on the front, you have these holes right here. Those holes right down there and that one right there. And those are the drain back holes. So, for instance, they just normally flow in there, but also when you hit the brakes, all the oil rushes up to the front and drains through the timing cover back down into the oil pan. So, my engine builder noticed that this one did not have drain back holes. That little hole in the corner, this is the distributor hole, so that's not it. And then you've got another little hole right down there. And those holes were not in the block, which he said could have caused a major issue with drain back issues. It's kind of a weird topic because I talked to some people that I believe have experience in building engines, and a few of them said that I probably wouldn't have any problems, and then a few of them said, yeah, they agreed. You need to have some drain back holes right there in the rear, because what happens is when you give the vehicle a lot of throttle, all the oil rushes back to the rear of the oil valley, and so it all pulls up right there, so it can't drain back as fast. Now I know you have these holes right here. The hole, you have one right there, and so on and so on. But those are, helping drain back holes. They're not the main ones. The main ones are the one in the back and also the distributor channel as well. It's a little peek down in the heads. Looks pretty nice. Like I said, it's not the top of the line. It has no CNC machining whatsoever, but I think they're going to perform outstandingly. I think it's going to sound great. It's ARP hardware all throughout the engine. You have, as you can see, we have ARP head studs. I decided to go with studs instead of bolts. So I just think it's gonna give me it's going to give me a lot more strength with the studs, and then also it's going to it just allows for a better bite for the heads, and plus you're not wearing out the threads in the block as well. So just something to think about if you're thinking about that. My machine guy, he highly recommended head studs with aluminum heads. Maybe that's something that you don't have to do with the cast iron, which I totally understand that, because the aluminum is a lot softer than cast iron. And the studs that are in the crankshaft caps are ARP as well, and I decided to go with studs in those. This, of course, is a 4-bolt main, so I think we're pretty good on as far as everything, staying clamped down. And I mean, if you're going to get aftermarket fasteners, you definitely want to get ARP. I mean, that's what they do. They specialize in that, so never hear anything bad about ARP. And if you ever, I have heard of people getting a bolt or something that was had a defect, and ARP, was quick to ship them a brand new set. They didn't even just replace the bolt; they just replaced the whole set, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the engine. And actually, so I've got the intake over here. I'm going to go with kind of an old school intake, but it is fuel injection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera up while I go grab it right quick. And so I just have the lower intake manifold. We'll see the tube port has a lower, and then it has an upper plenum, and then it has the tubes that run on the side of it. I'll try to insert a picture so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And I've decided to kind of go with a custom color scheme on mine. And I've already got the lower intake manifold powder coated. So I'm gonna go get that right quick and let you guys kind of see what it looks like when it's setting up there. Of course, I don't have the gaskets on here right now, so it's not going to sit exactly where it's supposed to as far as upwards, up and down. The alignment's going to be a little bit off without the gaskets, but nonetheless, you can kind of get an idea of how sweet it's going to look. Alright, sorry about all that movement, but here's the intake manifold that I decided to powder coat. I did the powder coating myself, and I'd say it turned out pretty good. Let's get a closer look. You can see that it has the metal flake in there. I think this is actually the first thing I've ever powder coated, so I'd say it's not too shabby for my first powder coat. It's gonna look pretty sweet. And of course, here's this right here, these areas in this area, and the same on the other side. That's where the runners are the tubes, the bolt tube. And what they do is they come up and they kind of loop around and connect to the upper plenum, which the upper plenum is going to be the same as this color, which, by the way, this color is called Trans Black Sparkle from Prismatic Powders, if you're interested in it. I really like this color because, I mean, I like black. Black is one of my favorite colors, especially on automobiles. But I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different, so that's why I went with the black sparkle. Oh, it's really shiny too. I just think it looks really sweet. So that's about lined up right there. And of course, it'll be fastened down with ARP intake bolts. I think I got the ARP stainless steel intake bolts. So yeah, once I get the intake completely done, I'll get back to you guys. Actually, before we go, I'm going to show you some of the other stuff that I'm going to be placing on the engines, you know, maybe the headers and distributor and things of that nature and everything. I was hoping to have this in a few months ago, but I've run into some issues with my frame. I don't know if you want to check out my other videos. I've got a couple of, well, I think I've got one other video talking about the frame and what's going on with the frame, and I'll upload some other videos that I've shot as well. Just trying to get a good profile view of it right here. It's all sparkly. So that pretty much concludes the details on the engine. If you have any questions that maybe I neglected to mention, or you want to know some more information on anything I talked about today, just leave it in the comments. And we're gonna show you some of the other things that are going on in the engine as well. Thanks for joining my channel, The Eclectic Life. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to what's going on with this engine, and once it's completed and everything and fired up. So thank you very much.